Hey, listeners and viewers, welcome back to another edition of the CitizenWolf audio podcast. This is episode 19,037,000,037. Wow, we've gotten to that number straight away. No, it's nothing to do with me not looking at the number. I always do that all the time. But anyway, I've actually got a guest on this time around. It is KorizenSFM. He was supposed to appear on the podcast several months ago, but due to several reasons we would have talked about in the last episode, never had a chance to actually get any guests on. But now he is here. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hello. I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Now, as I say, Anton SFM, he's been on the show before, and he was the one who recommended me to get Korizen on the show. Did he ask you to? Did he put a good word in for you? What was the situation with that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the story. I don't know what it was, but he would always talk. It was like, oh yeah, there's like this podcast around, and I'm like, a podcast? And he's like, yeah, for like SFM users and all that stuff. And I'm like, really? That's interesting. And he shared it, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty dope. I watched like all the episodes. Like I was really cool, and then I was like, damn, imagine if I go on it. And then he's just like, oh yeah, you want to go on it? And he's like, wait, what?
That's really cool. I don't actually know if there's actually any other similar podcasts to mine that talk about like SFM art and Blender art specifically. I don't really know. It's sort of, I don't know, like the I get the object. I guess the MO or objective of the podcast sort of changed over time. I suppose it's sort of
Yeah.
initially it was like a means for me to literally to reach out to people. That's when I was basically started out with Blender, and I did started the podcast, and then it sort of grew into what it was, like talking to fellow artists and their experiences and stuff. But I'm really glad you enjoyed the show, and like he encouraged you to come on, and which is really cool. I'm always trying to get as many perspectives and as I possibly can, which is pretty cool, and it's going to be a good one, I think.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here. Very excited.
No, no, thank you very much indeed. So, let's get started then. So when did you first start making art specifically? Was it SFM you started with to begin with, or did you start in the traditional sense, like with pencils and pens and things like that, or how did you start basically?
I think, God, it was so long ago when I was like a little guy, little young lad or whatever. I always
Little
just
boy.
loved art. Little boy. Yeah. I always loved art or whatever. I was just like, yeah, I loved art. I was like, oh, it was always nice to see where it's like people would put whatever was on their minds and then put it down on paper or whatever, whatever, and just for the world to see. And it's like, wow, that was like, that went through somebody's mind, or that's like somebody's perspective in a way. And so I did try for a while to try to do like pencil and paper and all that stuff, but I have the most shaky hands ever. Like it almost looks like I'm always like shivering, and it's just like, it's like, oh, you're cold or whatever, and then it's just like, no, it's like I'm just trying to draw, and then it's just like, I guess it's like nerves, I guess.
Yeah.
So I kind of scrapped the pencil and paper, and then I kind of just didn't really do anything for a while. I just loved art. I just loved looking at it and maybe doing the old like occasional commission. And then actually, I commissioned Anton SFM's, and like we just really hit it off right away. At the start, I will say I was a bit of an asshat. I was really picky with my art, and I could tell he was getting pissed off at a few moments. But thankfully, we still hung on, I guess. And in the end, we just really hit it off. Like I don't know what it was, like almost like a little spark. And then he really inspired me, where it's just like, where it's just like I've always said. A general rule I've always kind of said is like, especially when I watch like TV or just anything, or I read a book, and then I just imagine something almost like a small alternate, like alternate reality, or I don't even know how to say it or whatever, but it's like, when you just sit there and it's just like, oh, it would be so cool if like this would have happened instead.
Yeah, you're inspired. Yeah, thinking about that sort of like alternative scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, like, or just, what if, I don't know, what if Darth Vader didn't die at the end or something like that, or just all that kind of crazy
Oh yeah,
jazz.
theoreticals. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. And then I was just like, I just kind of said, like, fuck it, let's do something like that. And I will be honest and straight up and say, like, why doesn't this kind of porn exist?
Right. That's where it leads to, doesn't
That's
it?
that's where it literally led to. I was we're not gonna go down that road too much, but just
Well, maybe we can go down that road a little bit later on if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you.
yeah.
Just before this, I want to roll back a little bit. Like, when did you first? Did you start making your art after like commissioning, doing your first commission, or was it the other way around? Was this like a few years ago this happened, or?
It was kind of recent. It was God, I think it was 2022 or 21.
Oh, so yeah, so in the last couple of years then. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, those 4 years is just a fucking blur. Um,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
with COVID and everything, but
Yeah, oh, what a
pretty crazy.
nightmare. Yeah, just yeah, that's when I kind of mostly started commissioning art, and then I guess that kind of after a while it just started to inspire me to actually start making my own stuff. Where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if like I actually started to make the stuff, and then yeah, that's when I kind of started doing it. I think that was like way back. Um, it was just before Christmas. I think it was about summer of 2022, somewhere around that town. Actually, no, I think it was December. I think that's when my first post came out. It was sometime around early December.
So was it Anton SFM that inspired you to start making your own art, or was it a bit of like somebody else in combination with that?
Massively Anton SFMs. I will. He has a big a big share of the pie on that matter. But just kind of like my own ambition and just some other people out there. I just saw some crazy art from like Hooves Art and Sim. I think that's his name. And just just some other great, really awesome guys out there. And I also know a traditional artist. Not super personally, but I used to know them. They also inspired me over to pick up the pick up the paintbrush, I guess, even though they didn't really kind of know what kind of art I was going to start getting into.
Right, gotcha. How did you actually learn how to, well, like when it comes to SFM itself, the software? How did you actually learn how to actually use the software? Like, was it again Anton showing you how to do it, or did you find some tutorial somewhere on how to use it?
Um, it was, yeah, again, mostly Anton SFMs. He was a really big factor on teaching me how to do SFM. I also kind of did it on my own time where I watched like kind of some SFM animations, but also some tutorials and then like some the occasional like Steam guides or whatever. And then I guess it's I've not I don't want to say I've have the artist touch or whatever it's called, but like I just feel like I've kind of grasp grasp it a bit quicker than usual, I guess I would say, and just kind of like a bit of a design aspect where it's like okay, I have it all planned in my head. This is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna go for it. And then I think that really helped out with like the ambition to go for it. Really kind of helped out to teach myself and also get help from both Anton and YouTube and guides and all that crazy stuff out there. There's so much out there. Some of it is, of course, quite useless, but there's just so much out there.
I think half the trick is like knowing where to look when you're doing something like that. With
Yeah,
me again, I spoke about this briefly already. But for people who might be just jumping into this episode, for myself, I didn't really know anybody to approach when it come to SFM. I didn't really know anybody at the time or where to look specifically on how to use SFM. I know there's like YouTube guides and stuff, but I didn't know what specifically to start with. There's no like I guess a curriculum, I guess, like you would in a school or something. Like you learn this in this order, and then you'll know how to do this, etc. For me, it was. I fell into Blender more so because like Blender was more accessible from that perspective. So it's sort of I took a different path on that front. But I always have with my dealings with SFM, like I've dabbled with it a little bit, like helping Anton as well. I'll talk about it a little bit later on. I'll get to that. Jumping the
yeah.
gun a bit, but SFM is a bit of a nightmare for me.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to first off, have you actually used Blender before, or is it just SFM that you've used thus far, or are you planning to use Blender in the future at some point?
I actually first used Blender. I actually learned it back in like school and stuff. We had like a big computer lab. And that's where I kind of learned how to start using Blender.
That's
And
not fair. I
I had a,
wanted, I wanted that.
I had probably the best like computer science teacher ever. Like he was just such an awesome guy, and he really knew like the people who would like he could really see into people and just see who would actually succeed. Or he wasn't, he wasn't like, oh, that guy isn't gonna go in the computer, so I'm not gonna give a rat's ass about him. But he saw the people who actually seemed passionate about what they did in his lab, and he like really chased them about it. Like he would always like ask questions, he would always just help us find answers, and he really helped out, like, just to get myself into computers, because I love computers, both just, I don't know, engineering and the programming, just everything about them. I think they're awesome. But yes, he also taught like an animation and a 3D modeling course. And I took it, and so I started using Blender, and I'm not gonna lie, I hated Blender.
So why did you hate Blender? Did you? This is why I like to get different answers from different people. They've got their own different perspectives. Like what about what aspect of Blender didn't you like? Was it like did you find it too challenging to learn the basics, or was there some other problem you didn't like about it?
I think it was, yeah, it wasn't very user beginner friendly. I felt it was just super complex at some moments, where it's just like, I just want to move my camera. Why do I need to hold like 8 keys to move the camera, right? Like I felt it was just a little like too complex, and I also was quite young, and I didn't really know too much about that kind of deal. So
It's one of those things, isn't it? It's when you started and like what perspective. Again, it's everybody's
yeah.
different.
Yeah. Just, yeah, and I guess I didn't like it, and that's when I saw, like, I don't know how SFM kind of worked, but like, I sometimes saw like the TF2 animations online or other SFM animations, and I'm like, oh, it's probably just like Wonder. And then when I decided to give it a shot because of Anton, he's just like, oh, I use Source Filmmaker. I'm like, okay, let's at least look at it, and if I don't like it, then I don't like it. But when I started to use it, I'm like, I found it way more simpler to use. Like, I felt it is still a little scary, but I don't think it's as scary as Blender.
It's everybody's different with whatever you're used to. But again, it's you might have jumped into like an earlier version of Blender where it's this. I'm talking from my perspective anyway. Like especially if you, I don't know which version of Blender you started when you first gave it a go. It's probably before 2.8 was the last really big one. They changed an awful lot of stuff at that update, where Blender was a nightmare before 2.8, if you ask me. Like it, like on like on Windows, where like pretty much every single program you use. That's just an example. Where, like you can right click on anything, and like a little menu would appear, like a context menu.
Oh, yeah,
On
yeah.
Blender before 2.8, that it was the reverse was true. So you had to left click to get a. So
Oh,
it was the complete opposite of what Windows worked like for 30 years. It's like, why have you
oh,
done it like that? So it wasn't until 2.8 where they completely overhauled the interface and the controls and everything, and that's when, as luck would have it, that's when I first came into it, and like I didn't have to deal with all the quirks of Blender, where at the time it was still considered to be a bit of like like a bit of a silly hobbyist sort of bit of a program. But at like Source Filmmaker sort of had the edge at that point in time, because it was Valve, and everything Valve did was amazing. Still do
yeah.
is amazing. I'm not
It is, yeah, it is, yeah.
they approached it from like a filmmaker's perspective, and like they integrated it with the Source engine, and at the time where Machinima was really popular, and it was sort of like hit the zeitgeist at the time, I guess, and that's why a lot of people took to it, and everything like fell together, and like everybody was really creative with the MLP show. It was really big at like 2015, 2016,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and people were making models and making all sorts of content, and it was crazy. People still make amazing stuff with it, don't get me wrong, but that was like the peak of everything falling into together. It was, for me, it's just Source Filmmaker from my perspective. Now, like I've spent a bit of time with Blender, I probably it wouldn't be, I don't know, I guess beneficial for me to learn it, and I have dabbled with it again, linking back to Anton again, that crazy guy. Like I don't know what he might have said this to you before, but I haven't mentioned it on the podcast anyway, but like I don't know whether I offered to help him or he asked to help. I can't exactly remember the specifics, but it was
Oh, like the when his computer broke. I think that.
yeah,
God, when
or
was
something
that?
like that. Yeah, something like that at the time. I can't
Yeah.
even remember. Can't exactly remember, but basically, at the gist of it was like, no, that's okay. Your laptop. I don't want you to. I think I didn't want him to cook his laptop, like rendering his first massive animation. You know the one I'm talking about with the Rarity and Big Mac one. That
Yes,
one.
yes.
That
I
one.
I re- I remember that. He talks about. He's just like it was like it took me like 12 hours to render that.
It's like it was pretty crazy, but I basically said to him, okay, like I've got a decent computer rig, like don't cook your laptop, it'll kill it probably. Send me like I'll install Source Filmmaker. You tell me what like extensions or whatever I need to install. I'll render it out for you. So I did all that. We spent a good 2 hours over Discord. Like he was running me through it, like install this, install that, install this, blah blah blah. Got all that installed, and that went without a hitch, funny enough. But it was only when
No, 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 you're lying there on that one.
that's the I was amazed that we got that far without any issues. But then the fun started when I actually opened the program, the project file. Like, oh my god, SFM just fights you every single opportunity it
It,
gets.
it does. It does. Yeah.
It's like I opened the program, the project file, sorry, and like it was literally just why is her glasses floating in midair for no apparent reason? It's
Yeah.
like why is so he had to tell me like what to do. Like you have to click this little tiny little plus icon, which is the size of a fucking pixel on my 4K monitor. I couldn't see it. I had to try and then like reveal like a slider, move the slider across, click this
Yeah.
menu, go down, go into another sub menu, click that, enable that light, push that there, do this. I was like trying to find like the render button, like to render it out into single frames, like PNGs or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I did the first test render, and I'll show you after this call if you're interested.
Oh,
I've still got the
good Lord. Yeah.
balked renders, like all the colours were all fucked up. I was like, oh, for fuck. So all the colour saturation was all. I can't figure out why. And then Anton said, "Oh, it's because you rendered it in the wrong menu." It rendered it in the wrong menu. So there's because basically I did it I thought was the proper way, where you go into the drop down menu at the top and then you go into like export as frames or whatever it is. But no,
Oh,
you can't
yes.
do it like that. You have to go
No.
into a different sub menu,
Nope.
then it will work
Yeah.
because it's bugged. I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake! I spent hours like that. I let my machine render it for hours, and it was it was fucked. It was like I let my machine like cook it overnight, let it cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let it render overnight, and like I looked at the renders for for fuck's sake, what's happened here? So I had to get him on the call again, and like, what's happened? I don't understand what's happened. And then he told me, oh, I think you went into the wrong menu. That was the oh my goodness. But we got there in the end eventually, because it was just oh jeez, like I wish I'd never bothered offering at the time. It was just I was just in a cold sweat the whole time, just like this isn't going to work at all. It's funny looking back at it now, and that's I guess my small connection to that animation. I rendered it out for him, but yeah. So
Yeah.
but he did an amazing job on that. Like for his first animation, crazy.
Awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
But yeah, so but it was a bit of a horrific event to go through just to get the thing rented.
Yeah.
Anton is asking, I'll go into his question, that was a good link. What is your biggest frustration in SFM? What's your biggest frustration with it?
The lighting. Definitely the lighting. The lighting is a bitch. You need like almost like you need like oh god, you need like 3, 4, like 7 you need like at least like 12 lights half the time. Just to capture your image or whatever. Yeah, you need mostly like you need like your main lights, you need like some background ones, and you need like almost like very just like very dim lights, just to capture like the proper lighting for the whole body on some images. Um, just yeah, you just need very precise types of lights, and just very precise settings on some of those lights, because some of them capture the shadows, some of them just light up the room, some of them only need to capture this one part of the body. I doesn't need to cover anything else. It needs to cover just a small part, but it has to be the right amount of lighting as the other lights. And it's just it's just a massive like every every light has to be its own special light in a way, but also they're all the same. It's just so ridiculous some of the time.
Like lighting in 3D is just difficult, full stop. Even with like Blender, when you got more options, if you don't really know where to put the lights or how bright to make them and what angle you're using and what shape you're using,
Oh
it's
yes.
very it's a lot more difficult than it sounds because like well, it's difficult for me as well because for a long time, like especially if you look at my earlier stuff, like I made, like the lighting's quite flat and stuff like that because I didn't really know how to. I'm still learning. I am getting better a little bit every time I do something, but it's not easy doing lighting in the 3D realm, if you like. It's but
Yeah.
with in Blender for me, it's at the moment, it's like what well, you got basically with Blender. You've got two render engines. You've got Eevee, which is basically the fast and quick render engine. That's great for like low end machines and like if you want to do something really quick. It's a really amazing engine. And you've also got Cycles. Now Cycles is the more realistic one, but again, it takes more processing time and stuff. It's
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's it's the trade off is with Cycles is like lighting is easier to use, but then again it takes a lot longer to render stuff, and you need more of you need like a pretty beefy machine to actually get the most out of it. But yeah, with so lighting, a lot of people tend to struggle with that. Like I certainly struggle with it, and it's you're not alone on that front.
No,
but
yeah. Probably the first hurdle with, I mean, obviously there's other people's things people struggle in or whatever, but I think like pretty much the biggest hurdle in like 3D modeling is just in like rendering is lighting. Because yeah, you can like almost like for modeling, it can be tricky to get like a good pose that you want, but you can almost like use yourself as a mannequin sometimes, or you use like good examples, or you can really picture it in your mind. It's just the lighting. The lighting is just it's just like, okay, let's make it look good, and then it's like, okay, we need to have specific lighting for it, and then it's just yeah.
so would you say like lighting is the most challenging aspect of art, or is that the only most challenging aspect? Would you think of?
Oh, I don't know if it's the most challenging. I really don't know what the most challenging would be, but I think it's at least up there. It's very up there on the challenging part.
So would you say coming up with ideas like for the actual art piece itself? Would you say that's more challenging than actually putting it together, like actually thinking of a concept, or do you have loads of ideas cooking all at once and you just pick one of your favorites?
It's honestly kind of both kind of sides on that one. There are some like moments out there where I just sit there and it's just like, okay, let's do some SFM. And I would sit there in front of the menu and I'm like, okay, what the hell do I want to make, right? Um, or just and then there's some days where I'm at work, or just I don't know, I'm in my car and I'm just like, oh, that would be a great idea. Oh, but maybe if I swap this character with this character. Oh, but then if I do these two with this, and then it's just a big rabbit hole after that, and then you just make up like eight almost like eight skeletal or basic ideas that haven't really been fully thought out yet, but like you have like a bit of a grasp on it. Um, so it's just yeah, and it's just one of those. It's like 50-50. I don't know. It's just yeah.
Certainly up there. Like for me, like coming up with ideas can be pretty tricky as well because like you're limited. Well, you're kind of limited in what you can do as an artist, and you're aware of your own limitations, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's some things I haven't tried yet because like I don't know how to do. I don't know how to render water, or I don't know how to light that thing properly, so I can't really do that. It's sort of
Mm.
all of that links into it, I think.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah.
But I certainly felt that way when I first started learning Blender at the time. I was at the, it's weird. It was only literally because of COVID where like the situation presented itself for me that I had plenty of time. Basically, I was furloughed off work for 3 or 4 months. I
Oh
was
yeah.
still on the payroll, but I was basically paid like 80% of my wages just to stay at home because it was too dangerous
Yeah.
for the whole office to be present.
You
So
can't get anywhere. It's
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So it was literally a case of, oh, okay, I've got literally months and months of time. I've got my computer. I want to see if I can make my own Blender artwork, and I'll give it a go. And like everything sort of fell into place. But when I started with Blender, with I've nothing. I had no 3D knowledge at all. I started from absolute zero, and I'm just saying to people, you don't have to like have a prerequisite knowledge to just get started and learning. So because
Oh,
there's plenty, which
yeah.
is, I'm proof of that. I've
Yeah.
got a podcast now, and I'm making my own stuff, and like I've gotten to a point where like I can actually make, I think in my view, half decent stuff now. Which
Yeah.
I'm still learning, but I've gotten to a point where like I can actually. I can see the improvements, but anyway, I'm talking over you a bit too much, Korizen. But
It's good. It's good. But yeah, just it's certainly, yeah, it just goes back where even though I did take that like computer course or whatever, I did not know anything. Like when I opened up Blender, I didn't like Blender at the start, and when I started to do, why I went into SFM was because of my rule back then or whatever, just the theory where it's just like, what if I do this? Okay, let's do it. Let's actually make it a reality. And when I first got into SFM, just yeah, it was back during COVID, and yeah, there was just it just a little sidetrack here, but just COVID, like it was certainly the nightmare. Like it was a piece of shit of a time. Like I never want to relive that ever again. But it's just I just hear stories out there of people, but because they had so much time, like they just you had so much time you would like I all my school was online, so I wasn't going anywhere. I was literally sitting in my room, my office, just sitting on my ass all day, and just like it's you just had so much time to explore, and then you would get curious about what you find, or and all that stuff, and then you would just go down and down into like this rabbit hole, and because you just had so much time, you actually had the time and freedom to find what you wanted to find. And that's what happened. Just I had so much time that I explored source filmmaker, and I really got into it, where it's just like it's like I want to start making stuff like this, like just yeah, I just want to start making my own stuff. I want to start like expressing like what I want to do, and that, and it was just COVID was definitely a blessing and a curse in terms of that aspect.
yeah, absolutely. Like it was the silver lining of it. It was a horrible
Yeah.
time, but like it presented like
It
opportunities, I
really brought,
guess, in
really
that
brought
sense.
some stuff out of people where, I've people have made 180s. I've known people who've made 180s where like it's like I would have never known you would have gotten into that. But and they found it because they were stuck at home doing whatever. And I found so many different types of games and books and music and all that kind of jazz, just as I was stuck home at COVID, and I thought I would never get into stuff like that. It even goes back to when I was a kid or whatever. I hated anime. I don't know what it was. I just thought it was the most cringe stuff out there. It's still kind of cringe, not gonna lie, but I found some really good animes out there, and I'm like, wow, this is great. This is awesome. Like it really changed stuff.
Yeah. I think it might be. It might not have been the medium itself. It might have been more like your exposure to the people who sort of the
That
the
probably
the,
been a
the
factor. Yeah,
fandom, shall we say,
yeah.
like that
Like
spoils the bunch. But yeah,
lightning goes over. Yeah.
but yeah, that's a whole nother kettle of worms in itself, isn't it? But like, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, it's sort of, it was a strange time, wasn't it, with COVID? It was a horrible time, but it sort of forced me anyway to explore new things. And like for me, it was like learning Blender and maybe I can actually, instead of just commissioning everybody else to make what I want to see, I'll have a go
Yeah.
at making my own stuff. I don't know whether it's the same for yourself. linking with commissions anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been moments where, I just wake up or whenever I'm on what round or I just sit down, it's just like, let's make it. And I make it. And there are some stuff I never post or won't ever post or just whatever, just stuff I make on my own. And then, yeah, it's just like, okay, what do I want to make for my own self? Sometimes it isn't the funny stuff, sometimes it isn't, whatever. And then other days where it's like, okay, let's make something for everybody to enjoy. Let's spread the cheer around. Like recently on the 13th, I think it was just by my birthday, and I was just like, good. It was an awesome birthday. I was really happy. It was a really good birthday. And then I was just like, I was like, fuck it. Let's spread the cheer. Let's spread let's spread happiness. It sounds a little cheesy, but that's kind of what my mood
Yeah,
was.
totally. Yeah, I totally get that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I created a free YCH or whatever, and I posted that, and it like blew up in like 5 minutes because yeah, one, it was, oh my god, it's free shit, and then two, it's just like I had like unlimited slots or whatever, and I basically just said, what do you want me to make for you so you could enjoy and just spread the cheer. It's just like it's cheesy. It's
That's a risky play, like making it
yeah.
free as well. Like your character here is making it free, but yeah, we'll talk about it in a moment. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
It was certainly cheesy, and yes, it was a little bit of a ballsy throw to put it and make it free because yeah, it's certainly at some moments where it's just like holy shit, there's like a 20-person queue. But just I had fun with it. I honestly had fun with it. It was great to reach out and talk to a whole lot of different people and just make stuff, and it was fun. I think it was really fun, and I'm honest, yeah, yeah.
So when was that? Was that recently, or was that the very first foray into like offering commissions to people?
Yeah, so that was only like 2 weeks ago or whatever. I can't even remember when I started doing commissions. I think I started doing commissions around February last year. No, I can't even remember, but I know it was sometime around last year. It might have been around the summer. But that's when I first started to do commissions, and it was kind of like not slow, but I would get like the occasional one, and then I would sometimes post like my own stuff that I would just post out there, and then I guess I slowly started to build a bit of a following, and then yeah, just on one day I was just like, let's really reach out there. Let's talk. Let's really reach out. Let's talk to these awesome, great people that are out there, and just kind of spread the word about myself. But that's kind of self-centered. But also, just really see everybody about the community, and just go out there and make commissions for everybody who wants to get commissions, or go on podcasts like right now. Just make myself known, but also just to see everything about the community and all that stuff. And it's been.
So it serves double duty. So you're putting your name out there, but it also an opportunity to network with people as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so what would you say? So you say you've been working on commissions for a while now. What are the pros and cons of actually working on commissions for people? Have you had any like there's going to be like there's going to be like ones where like yeah, no problem, cool, everything's gone through smoothly, but maybe you might have had one or two where like you've had a few issues or something might have gone badly. If you want to discuss any of those.
Oh, certainly. Just probably the biggest thing I find with commissioners, and like the majority are lovely, awesome people. They're great. They're super helpful. Just the thing that I find annoying is just getting all of the details. What would happen is like some guy would message me and he'll be like, okay, do A and B in X pose. And then I'm like, okay, I can do that. But like, what kind of background do you want? What kind of lighting do you want? I just can't make A and B do X because I don't, I can't do that because all I just have is just what the characters are doing. It's like what's going on around them. And then it's just like, okay, I want this kind of background and this kind of lighting. And then I would do it. And then it's just like, no, 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 no. I wanted you to do this instead. And it's like, okay, then I wish that you would have been a little more specific there. And then I have to go back and change it, or probably change a big thing or whatever, or just, it's just really hunting down the details from people. It's it's fine. It's certainly fine. It's like it's okay. Sometimes, people you would miss a detail, or you would ask a question. It's fine, but or whatever, and it's not bad or whatever. But it's just one of those things where it's just you're so like vague where I need to like ask you what like almost like 75% of what your commission wants to be. It's just like you don't need to. Yeah.
They're not giving you enough specific details to
Yeah.
actually make it. You're having to like get more information out of
Yeah.
them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to give me an essay, but just, give me what you picture. Like give me the details of what you picture. Just don't think of like the centerpiece. It's like you have to give me a little bit of the background, and then, that's just probably the most I find one of the most annoying things. And then yeah.
So you said that's one of the most annoying things. But have you had anything where like a commission's actually gone wrong in certain way, like where like the but was that the furthest extent that like it's gone, or was that the furthest extent with just like finding it annoying sometimes just to get information?
Another thing I find really annoying, or difficult or whatever, just is like explaining what your limits will be or whatever. Just, like people would come in and it's just like, I want you to use my furry OC, and then it's just like, I only do MLP, or I only work with these specific models because I don't know how to work with your model, or your model just doesn't even work for Source Filmmaker. And then either they would just get really angry, or they just like almost like just like slide off their brain or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they just, or just like, like, are you even understanding like the words coming out of my mouth right now, dude? Or they just almost seems like they just don't understand you, or I don't know what to say, where they just.
That's one of the problems, isn't it? I guess with when offering with commissions, like I guess again, as you said, most people, when it comes to commission or asking for commissions and stuff, probably 95% of the time, like you get like everything works really well, and the person's nice to talk to, and they're clear and concise with what they want and things like that. But a lot of some of the problem maybe sometimes artists come up with against is like maybe the commissioner doesn't quite understand the limitations of like who you're asking. Like for example, like modeling is a completely different discipline to animating, and animating is another discipline to lighting, and lighting is another discipline to.
Yeah.
There's so many different aspects to 3D. Making 3D artwork and things, like not everybody can do everything. Well, some people can do everything, but like they spent years and years and years like perfecting the craft and stuff. But like for me, I wouldn't know personally how to convert, for example, like, or model maybe like a mane or a tail for an MLP character. I could have give it a go probably, but like I'm not particularly that skilled at that particular aspect of things. So maybe a lot of people might not, if they approach me for a commission, for example, they might ask me, could you make me a mane or a tail or whatever? But I'd say I don't really know how to do that, and they might get pissed off with you because like, why can't you
Yeah.
do that? I thought I thought you could do Blender, but like, yes, I know how to do Blender, but there's like 900 million different aspects you can
Yeah.
specialize in, and same
Yeah.
with SFM and everything.
Yeah.
So an animation, I've only done one animation, following a tutorial, but like again, I would really need to dig really deep into that to actually learn how to do that before I offer that as a commission as such. But yeah, it's it can be unfortunate sometimes. But again, I have like, because I still commission stuff, but like I can speak from experience. I do understand why some people might not or might act a bit weird I can sympathise with in some scenarios, I suppose. Like for example, like if you're too eager with the artist, it might weird them out. Like we're asking for like what. Like you might come across as a bit weird or something like that. I like looking back on like when I used to in the early days, maybe like looking back on the first few conversations, maybe looking back, I can't believe I said those things and stuff like. Or maybe I was a bit over eager and stuff like. I wasn't trying to be nasty or anything. It was just
No, yeah.
you know what I mean. But like
Yeah.
I can understand in some aspects where maybe some people are a bit socially awkward in a sense, and
Yeah.
they
And
don't know how to communicate very well generally, like what they're looking for in a commission, I guess.
Yeah, like that's totally
Um,
fine. It's just, you know, I kind of like you. Like when I commission stuff, sometimes I just kind of sat there. It's like, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to do that? Or just it was again like awkward. You're just
Yeah, and especially if you commission, I guess like we both do fetish stuff without like
oh
directly
yeah, yeah.
referencing it too much. But people like with if you're asking for a specific like I don't know fetish or something that like you're interested in, you want the artist to make come to life for you, but like you're a bit awkward in like using the word.
Yeah,
Like, if
it's
that
like,
makes.
yeah, that's my thing. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think as a bit of advice, I suppose for people is maybe it's okay to be socially awkward. It's like, but all the artist expects from you is maybe just be polite. That's one of the main things.
Oh
And
yeah, for
maybe
sure.
if the artist is asking more information from you, don't be if like it might be a bit awkward at first, but like once you explain what you're looking for, and like again, like if you're aware of what the artist is like known for, and you look at their previous work and like, oh, I like their previous work, could you just reference their previous work? That's a good stepping off point.
Oh yeah, for certain. Yeah.
Like you know they're comfortable making that artwork most of the time because they make a lot of it. So, so that's a good bit of tip I suppose I give to people.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But like I wouldn't say approach an artist maybe for like something that they haven't really done before. Well, just ask the question.
Oh
So a
yeah,
lot of
for
artists,
sure.
so a lot of art, like 99% of the artists out there, like if you want to commission something from them, you ask them, "Oh, could you haven't done this kind of artwork before, this specific fetish or whatever? Look, would you be okay making it?" And they can say, "Yeah, that'd be cool," or "No, I'm not really interested in that." And if they're not interested, that's fine. You can just ask somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally fine. Like honestly, I encourage that. Like ask questions both for the commissioner and the artist, right?
Yes, it's a two-way street at the end of the day. Like it's opening a dialogue, and like at the end of the day, both of you are trying to get the best piece of artwork. Like you're trying to give the artist as much room as possible to make the best thing ever for the commission. And then, for me personally, anyway, I could be looking into that a bit too much, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
It was yeah, commissioning things like I'm definitely a lot better at it now. I still commission things all the time. Maybe not all the time, but like I've mainly because like it's like the stuff I like is expensive usually. But
Yeah,
like, again,
yeah.
but yeah, but like I'm not saying like the artist is expensive. I'm talking from like a I want to pay them for the work. I'm of the belief that if the artist should choose how much they get to charge, and like if they put several hours of work into it, then yes, it's going to be more pricey. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
so that's another topic in of itself, isn't it? With when it comes to pricing, do you have any issues with like people like trying to like lowball you and stuff like that? And that's another question I want to ask.
Oh yeah, there have been. It's not super bad. There's always the occasional scammer out there but like 99% of the time you almost like spot them right away. It's just like, okay, this guy's trying to scam me or whatever. But
Yeah.
there have been moments where it's just like they ask for some almost ridiculous thing or just some massive thing or just whatever. And just yeah, and then it's just like, okay, I'm gonna be straight with you and just this will be like, I don't know, $100 or like whatever.
Well,
Just
yeah, like, and then they go, "Oh, I want it for free."
yeah, and then it's just like,
That's a classic.
and then yeah, it's just like, can you do it for free? Can you do a request? And it's like, dude, you want me to do like the whole cast doing, I don't know, like the whole cast like jacking off to one another. I don't
Yeah,
fucking know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, that thing's gonna cost you a lot of money, and then it's like, and it's okay to downsize, of course, like that's totally fine. But it's also, yeah, but it's just don't sit there and just say, would you do it for $5? It's like, I'm not gonna do that shit for a fiver, brother.
Do you know
Uh,
how long it takes to pose one character?
no, oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not like that's the mentality I don't like. It's sort of from not a lot of people, only some individuals, but like maybe like in this world of like with AI stuff and things like that, like it's like instant
Uh,
gratification. That's
yeah.
the key thing. Like it's not a case of like clicking a button and it's done. Like all the
Mm.
characters in that pose, it's not.
Nope.
It takes ages to pose these
It,
things a lot of the
oh
time, and like
yes,
it
yes.
takes ages to set up one single frame.
Yeah. It does take a very long time, especially yeah, with posing and lighting where it would take me just like I'm working on your stuff, man. I just need like 3, 4 nights to just do the fucking lighting. It's just so specific and it's like and of course there's always life complications, but it takes so much time just to get the right picture for you, right?
It's just like it was. Most people again are cool with it when it comes to commissions and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I haven't made any commissions myself because I choose like well for personal reasons. It's mainly I've made the decision because like I'm still learning a lot of stuff and like I'm kind of vain I suppose in that way. Like I don't think I've gotten to a good enough standard personally to justify charging people for it. And like even if I did accept something for one of my friends or something, it would be I'd spend probably weeks and weeks and weeks on it, and like I'll be stressing over it and like making changes constantly. But like I've gotten to a point where like I'm not happy with it. I want to make it better than I'm actually capable of making it, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that's a big curse. Yeah, that's a big curse. They're having moments where it's like, oh, I respect this guy, or I want to make it nice for this guy, and then you just sit there and it's just like, I can't make it better because I don't know how to make it better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally a massive thing, isn't it? It's just like you're demanding more of yourself than what you're currently capable of as an artist. You haven't really
yeah,
gotten to that level that you put on a personal level.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's as you were saying earlier, like with the networking, like that it's sort of double duty, isn't it? Like you want a cool piece of artwork by commissioning somebody, but then like a lot of the time you make these connections and then like you got the motivation to make your own stuff, and it's sort of reciprocating, I guess, relationship, I suppose.
yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah.
I guess like with Anton, how did you actually come across him? Or was it just like you commissioned him first and then like you started talking to each other basically?
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those. I can't remember how I saw his art or whatever. Just or just how I came across. Actually, I remember. Do I have to remember? I was actually looking at in the Derpy Buru commission page or whatever. I was just scrolling down. I was looking. There's like good references and like commission sheets or whatever. It's actually a pretty nice page most of the time, though some of them are quite old and need to be updated. I've scrolled down and I saw Anton, and I'm like, hey, his art it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and he's asking for, I think, a fair price for it, or like a fair price range. So sure enough, I message him and I tell him like, I want you to make this, and and it just kind of went off that, and then I commissioned him a few more times, and yeah, it just went off. It just kind of we started talking more and more, and then I can't remember when we first called or whatever, but then we just started to play games together, and then now we do it regularly now. It's great. He's probably one of the he's probably one of like
He's a big TF2 head for context for people who,
oh
yeah,
yes yes
yeah. He's as I've said before, like you know this already. He's absolutely batshit crackers insane. I can't remember how I come across him. I don't know whether chronology of things, or it might have been like where I commissioned somebody else and then it's sort of connected from there. That's where I
Mm,
met a lot of my friends on Discord and like in the MLP and or an artist community, I suppose, in my little circle of friends, I suppose. Like I commission like one person, and then they find me, and then I literally cannot remember. If I ask him again to remind me, he'll probably remember.
oh
But
yeah
like, yeah, he's pretty he's pretty crazy. He's been on the show before. I'll try and get him on again at some point. He's always like working on commissions. He's like a machine. He's always working on something.
honestly
How many's
yeah
he done? Thousands at this point.
I don't
But
even know.
yeah, he's just one of those where like he's just constantly working on stuff. And I think apart from recently, I think like his laptop exploded, which is unfortunate or something.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, I just A real big thing about him that I just love.
He's funny. He's just
He's
funny.
he's so he's so fucking funny. Yes, he's so funny. That guy will make me laugh in like every 2 minutes, or not even.
Yeah,
He'll make me
without
laugh.
fail,
Yeah.
without fail.
But yeah, just what I love is that even though he's such a machine and he just pumps out this great, lovely stuff, is that he just always has time for you. And I
Yes,
really, really
yes,
appreciate that about him. Just, I will be honest, and he does do lots of self work to himself, but I feel like there are some moments where it's just like, you know, dude, if you just need to, you don't have to, take a day off, you know,
yeah,
like he does. Like he's got a very good. I believe he's got a very good work life balance. But there are moments where it's like you don't even have to get on because I asked you to get on, or you don't have to work on this commission tonight. You can always work on it tomorrow. You can, there are, just look at yourself in a little. Take a day off
just
and do
take
whatever you
5 minutes
want.
for a breather.
Take
Yeah,
5 minutes, yeah. But just yeah, I just really appreciate how he works hard for everybody and works hard for you. He does that, and I really appreciate it. And I just hope he also works hard for himself as well. And he certainly does.
yeah.
He certainly does.
It certainly does, and like, but like, he's one of those characters where like when you're commissioning people, it's sort of you'll probably find one or two if you commission quite a few people, one or two that you really click with and like you really get on with, and like these friendships like blossom into, which is great. Like so, like you get on really
Yeah.
well with them, and like you play video games with them and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
part of the magic, isn't it? It's
It is. It is. Yeah.
without getting too fucking soppy and mawkish, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
my friend Tenenbris has been on the show a few times. He's been on 3 times actually. But he's again like with Anton. He's like a machine. He's always working on something all the time, and like I don't know how he finds the time to cram everything in, and sort of like I guess I get sometimes the impression where like he's sort of overworking himself, and maybe he could slow down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
But like he just loves to grind and draw and sketch, and he's always sketching something, and he's always sending me like he's drawing like silly memes every now and then. Like he again, he makes me laugh constantly. It's part of the magic. Like linking into when you're like I'm not a perfect artist, but don't get me wrong, of course, but like that's why I prefer when it comes to commissioning people, like you're actually commissioning a person and you got the opportunity to connect with that person, and you don't get that any of that with the AI generated stuff. Like if people just got click a prompt, job done, you don't get any of that with
there's no life in it, man.
So yeah, so what is your take on AI stuff? Like, do you have it? Does it have any redeeming features? Did you want to talk about a little bit more detail?
I guess for AI art, just I don't think it's all 100% bad, but it's just so lifeless. You can always tell when it's AI generated, and it's just like wow, you almost think like, especially myself, you just think there, and it's like it looks decent, or I can see what it is, and it's 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 that, like, in the back of my head, it's just like you didn't do shit for that. All you did was click clack on your keyboard, and then click a button, and it's like it's all right if it's for your own thing, but like don't go around like waving it like your little poster boy and basically saying, "Oh, look at my art, look at my art." It's like you didn't do anything. You just did that.
You let a machine generate it for you, or
Yeah,
an
yeah.
amalgamation of other people's work. That's another issue as well. It's
It
sort of,
is. Yes,
it's
yes.
like I always see it like as a disappointment, like a missed opportunity. Again, like I look at a piece of AI art thing, I can see why you've done that, but again, it's a missed opportunity. Like, why couldn't you like approach somebody else to make that for you, like 10 times better? You've missed the opportunity to actually talk to someone to actually make it for you. You've missed the opportunity to make it yourself and learn and
Yeah.
improve your own skills. You've missed the opportunity to
Like make it meaningful in a way, right?
exactly. That's another. It's soulless. That's the
It
main
is.
crux
Yeah.
of it. It's sort of it's not it's people like generate like it's boring really. Like you've
It is,
generated
yeah.
like about like 30, 40, 50 images, similar looking images that look really
Yeah.
weird, and like it's just like it's not interesting in the slightest. It's not even a fetish point of view, is it? It's not even like
Yeah.
it's not very good porn, is it? A lot of the time,
No.
without like being too direct about it. But again, that's a lot of the issue. It's just like it's boring. Like for me,
Yeah.
that's the biggest, I think, offensive thing about it. Really, it's sort of why it's just like, what's the point? It's you can only do so much with it, and it gets to a point where like it's not generating that image the specific image that you want in your head. It can't do that because like you're not controlling it. The computer's like basically garbling the prompt and like generating from whatever picture pool it's got
Whatever
access
you
to.
want. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a lot. There's a lot of issues
It's
with it.
just I remember when I did like just commissioning stuff, both safe and not so safe, where it's just almost like the anticipation. It's almost like a Christmas present in a way,
Yes.
where you would just wait. You would get so excited for waiting. I know, like when they'll send you whips, and hopefully they're quick, obviously, but they would send you whips, and it's like, oh, it's coming to life. It's so cool, and it's like sometimes you would actually change it, right? And it's just it's annoying sometimes for the artist, but just it's just so exciting to see the stuff come to life slowly towards you, and then when it's done, you have your little trophy, your little present for both you and the artist in some way,
Yes,
right? It's
exactly.
just yeah.
Yes. It's like for me, like when I'm at the moment, I'm commissioning Apocheck for some stuff, and like their stuff like is amazing, and like it's sort of I basically talk about like what I'm looking for, and it's there's a lot of back and forth, and I like to give the artist like plenty of room to play, and they come back with several different poses and like, these are the few ideas I come up with, and that's a lot of the appeal. That's what makes it really appealing to me a lot of the time, where the artist like is engaging with you and they're trying to realize your vision in your head, and like you both get to try and craft the best outcome possible, I suppose.
Yeah, I think
So that
that's fun.
they
That's a
give
really
you,
fun.
the artist could potentially give you, oh, I'm thinking of this pose, or maybe this pose, or maybe a combination of that pose, or whatever, or this scenario and this bit of lighting, and like you get to see it come to life, and maybe you see a scenario where, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Your idea is better. You go with that, and then it goes
Oh
into its
yes,
own
yeah.
tangent. That's part. All of that is, you don't get that with AI generated stuff because you're not a part of the process, and you don't get to um, shape it in any way. You're at the mercy of the machine doing it for you. And I'm not trying to say to people, attack people who use AI generated stuff. Again, I do understand a lot of the motivations why people do it, but I'm trying to maybe convince people. Maybe, of course, maybe you suck to begin with, but like there's plenty of resources out there, and people who will give you their time completely for free to
Oh
get
yes, for
started.
sure.
And that's how I started. Like with when I first started with Blender, of course, like I commissioned Hunter. That was my very first commission. I think I commissioned a few pieces from him, and like he, bless him, he took the time out of his day. He didn't have to. He showed me. He recorded a few videos for me, like how to do certain things in Blender, and that was a godsend to me because that was so cool that he took the time to make these little tutorials specifically just for me to do this specific thing, and I will always thank him for that, because like that was my first foray into Blender. Without doing that, I wouldn't be where I am today with him and a bunch of other people, J Dash and a load of other people. But
Oh
like,
yes, for sure. Yeah.
that's just so cool. Like that there are people out there who've got the time and take the time out of their busy schedules to help you out with like getting your first, I guess, step on the ladder, I suppose, as an artist. And like that's what I'm saying. If you reach out to people, there are resources and people out there who will help you. That's what I'm trying to say to people.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so Anton's also asking you, going back into MLP stuff, who is the
Oh,
best pony and why is it Maud Pie? Explain.
oh, good lord,
Let's touch the nerve. Okay, let's hear it then.
God, why? Just, oh my
I
God.
take it this is an in joke.
It is, yeah, it's a little bit of an inside joke. Probably, oh God, probably gonna start a freaking civil war here in the comments or whatever.
Oh,
Just
go
with
on. That we love those here.
the yeah, best pony or whatever, just the old, yeah. Probably, honestly, probably Princess Celestia. I think that's probably my favorite.
Big
Or
Sun, but okay, yeah, that's
Big
a
Sun,
popular
yeah,
choice.
Big Sunny Butt, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. I just always kind of liked her. I think she was kind of really cool, both appearance wise and just kind of how her character worked into the show. I will say I hate kind of how they not used her or what I don't know how to say it, but just there are some moments in the show where I think suck on how they
Characterized her, right? Okay, yeah.
yeah but just yeah I've always liked her design and just like the role of her character and the just kind of like who she was and whatever. And I also pretty cool where I actually met the voice actress for
Oh, Nicole
Celestia.
Oliver. Oh, that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
I actually met her, and I actually have this giant poster on my wall of her signed of a big piece of Celestia that I
Oh,
actually
that's not
got.
fair.
Um, so yes, probably yeah, she is certainly my favorite in both. Yeah, just in a lot of ways, and just yeah, very almost. I didn't say. I don't want to go not cheesy. It's not. I don't know what it is. She didn't really like inspire me like some motivational speaker, but like you kind of know what I mean, right? She kind of gave a little inspiration to kind of go explore, right? I don't know.
In regards to Twilight, you're talking about, like, gave her inspiration, right?
Yeah, just both to Twilight and also just also to people, IRL people, like
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah, just both characters in the show and in real life too. I think that was a really nice aspect about her, and kind of just offers like inspiration to everybody in a way, kind of just be yourself in a way, and just all that kind of really nice stuff that I think really gives a good message to everybody out there.
When did you first start watching the show? Did you watch it from the very beginning, or did you join in like later on in like later seasons?
The story behind how I got into it. So I can't even remember what it was. I think it was right before the lockdowns. I think it was me and a former, unfortunately, a former buddy of mine. We kind of sat down. We were kind of bored out of our skulls, and we were just browsing Netflix, and then we just saw the My Little Pony movie, and we're just like, let's just laugh. Let's just laugh at it the whole time. And then it's just like, yeah, let's do it. And we put it on. We watched it from start to end. And then when the credits started rolling, we kind of looked at each other, and I think the same kind of message kind of played through our heads. It's like that wasn't so bad actually. Like I don't know, it was really weird. Where it's just like it was kind of just like that wasn't as bad as we thought it was gonna be. That was actually kind of dope. And I don't know. I guess it was kind of one of those just not commit to the bit kind of deal, but it's like okay, do you want to watch the show? And it's like sure, let's do it. Now we're locked down. Um,
That's interesting, like, because most people tend to like start with the series before they touch the movie, but you went the opposite. You started
yeah,
with the movie,
I
then
I started with the
you
movie
did it
and
in
then I watched the
reverse.
show. Yeah, yeah, it was really weird because I like before like when the show was airing, I've seen stuff like commercials. I knew about the show's existence before and some stuff about it because I got family members and all that stuff who also watched the show or when they were young. But just yeah, just I watched the movie and just kind of I knew some stuff that wasn't going to happen for a little while during the show, and because when I started season one, I'm like, why isn't Twilight have
wings. I thought she always had wings. Like
Ah,
I knew,
oh, okay. Yeah, of
I
course. That's
yeah.
a later development, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't a princess. I knew she was going to become a princess later, but I didn't know she didn't have the wings. I thought that was why she became Celestia's student.
That was such a controversial thing when that
I
came
heard
about
about
as
that. I
well.
saw
Yeah.
stuff about it, and I think people still argue about it this to
Yeah,
this day in a way.
it's so weird, isn't it? But yeah.
Yeah, and then like yeah, there's some people where it's like it should have ended at 3, and then there are people who it's like it should have ended at 7, or it should have ended here or whatever. And it's like honestly, I think some of the later seasons are actually really good.
Yeah, yeah, I think me too as well. Of course, like some of the later seasons might have been about dragged on in a few places, but they had some really nice ideas and stuff like that. But yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? But like, it's sort of everybody was different. But like G4 MLP was lightning in the bottle, wasn't it? It's sort of
It
how
was.
that's never going to happen again. It's sort of
No, no,
I
no, no.
don't.
Yeah.
It's sort of all the stars aligned, everything, all the planets aligned, and everything. Everything was. I don't know. Don't know what 2010 was such a big year for animation. A lot of the other bigger one was at the time was Adventure Time as well. That was the other
Oh
huge
yes, that
show.
was huge. And
That ran for years as well, and like it sort of like developed, it grew its own legs, and sort of
yeah.
went off on its own like a massive thematic, tangents, and in later seasons, and got darker. And but yeah,
I remember that. It got like really dark and like really like serious in a way, and I was just like, yeah.
I think I got to like maybe season 2 or 3, maybe, but I need to watch them properly. I just never had time to really dive into it. But I've got some of the episodes downloaded. I'm gonna like actually get through it at some point. But yeah, because I never really got quite far enough where like things got really interesting. But yeah, anyway, I'm going on. Sorry, I'm off a different tangent. But yeah, MLPG4 was it's never going to happen again. But like I'm glad it did. It's sort of. It brought a lot of people together and like creative people into the space and sort of making their own content and like animations and artwork and music and films and everything. It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
It was sort of like you can slag it off the brony fandom for all its faults. Of course, you can valid criticisms of it. You can dig into it if you want to. I'm not gonna say it's perfect. No way.
No way, Jose. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's not perfect, but like how it's changed my life, and I think maybe it's fair for you to say it's changed your life as well.
It certainly has. Yeah, in some ways, yes.
It's really bizarre how like it's sort of this little silly little pony show sort of created like this like space for people to be super creative and like make big changes in their own lives and stuff. How it made a massive impact for me, MLP and Blender specifically.
Yeah.
And like how it forged friendships and all that stuff, and like it's sort of I always have a massive the show to me is like really really special. And even though I watched it sort of joined in like maybe like in the like later, or maybe when the show wasn't as big as it was in its like early few years, I sort of went back to it and watched it from the beginning and like watched it all the way through. And it's sort of like it's crazy talking about it in a really retrospective kind of way. Like it's sort of
Yeah.
I feel like it's still around us and people are still partaking in the culture and stuff like that, which is amazing. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And like even though the show's finished, like the friendships still keep going, and like life goes on, and like people's creativity just continues to blossom and go into different tangents and things. It's just amazing, really. The show, I think I first watched it when I was watching like memes and stuff like that. I think I didn't watch the show to begin with. I came across it through memes and stuff, and then from there I started watching it again. I think that's how I got into it, and then later on when I started like commissioning people, and then the rest is history basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Without,
for sure. Yeah.
but yeah, it's pretty. I should probably write a book at some point, but nobody would ever read it. But that's what probably. Maybe it's a bit too far at this too early stage at this juncture. Maybe.
Yeah.
Favorite character for favorite character. I think probably for a lot of time it was Rarity for most of the time, but then I guess Fluttershy sort of like moved in very slowly, and like I guess like personality wise, I suppose she's like similar to me, like being shy. That was the main crucial aspect, I think, for a long time for me anyway. And it's sort of like she became my like unofficial mascot, and now like I'm the British shy, basically.
The British shy. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm sort of that's it's the identity sort of solidified, and like that she's became my she's the one. She's my favourite out of all of them. She's like the and like that's how for me personally. It's just like she's the one. She's the girl. She's my one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
different. I've got their own stories, but yeah. So that's my little story regarding that anyway. But so I guess Anton's is more then, or has he got loads of different favourites? I'm not sure. I should ask him when I have him on the show again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everybody has their own particular favourites for different reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, so your favourite's not right. Get out.
You're very good.
Get out. You
get it out. Yeah.
leave.
No.
That's how it is. It's some people get really, really weird about that stuff, like, especially on Derpy Brew. Like, you can't make that kind of artwork with my character. Yeah. Like, it's not your character, dude.
It's not your, yeah. The amount of like diehard like Trixie fans out there.
Oh man, that's its own separate tangent.
Oh, that's like they got like and Luna fans.
Oh yes. Very strange, bizarre little like factions have emerged. Yeah.
Facto.
Like if you call them factions, I guess. I don't know. It's like it's fucking New Vegas. You got the NCR, you got the fucking Legion.
I don't even know why I thought of it, but I just thought of like this big like imaginary like parliament or whatever. And this like, totally. Little party, just like bickering one another. Like these like they have like the papers. They're just like on the little like speaker thing, and they're just like they're just going like Luna is best pony because
they write this massive like 2-hour essay on YouTube and like why she's the best.
Yeah, and then
everybody else is incorrect.
The honorable opposition party, and then like the Starlight fans.
Order! They're fucking banging the gavel. Order! Like in fucking Parliament.
Yeah. What was that guy's name? The British, like the House leader. Like,
the Prime Minister. Yeah. So you got the Prime Minister, like he's the leader, but he's like the I guess the British equivalent of the president, I suppose.
Yeah.
But much smaller.
But the speaker. I
always. The House Speaker. Yeah, like he's the guy who sits on like in the middle of the House of Commons. He sits on this big tall chair, and he has to go order. Then like the next person speaks. Yeah. Oh my god! Yeah, it's So's little system. Oh shit!
Yeah.
The amount of memes that come out over the years that because people having like fist fights on forums somewhere because of. Oh shit, me! But again, that you could speak for hours about all that stuff. But
yeah. We're not going down the political road today.
Yeah, we don't have time. Maybe another time, maybe. But that's another subcategory, its own little episode, maybe. Oh, jeez. But yeah. Let's see. I'm just going. I think I've covered pretty much all the main questions. I'm just seeing if anything I've forgotten anything from Anton. We've covered pretty much everything. He's actually. Is there any OC law that we're not aware of? I don't know which OC he's referring to specifically.
The OC law, yeah.
Okay, this is another in joke, I take.
A little bit, but like also just general OC lore, I guess. Good lord, I don't really have an essay behind Maple Melody, or that's my OC. You will see here on the cover, obviously. So yes, Maple Melody is my OC, just kind of what I made for mostly fun. Kind of just I don't want to say like fit in, but like it's kind of like everybody's got an OC, so I guess I'll get one, right? So yeah, just kind of like I thought it was like I made her a Kieran because I felt like they're just like the Kieran like really overshadowed, like because they're only in like one episode of the show.
Yeah, but really good episode though too. Like
probably one of the best episodes of the show.
What was her name again? The character who does the singing. Oh, such a good
Autumn Blaze.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
she
I
only
yeah,
appeared like once, but like
one
such a
episode. Yeah,
like it's a gem of an episode. But yeah, sorry,
yeah.
interrupt you. Continue.
So yeah, just there's like all the bat ponies, obviously, and all the other kind of different types of OCs out there, that are like the different races from the ponies or just whatever. But just I was like, oh, I really like the Kieran, so I'll make her a Kieran, and then um I really liked, I wanted to do something fall related because like, fall or autumn is my favorite season. So I wanted to do something autumn related, but I'm just like I can't do something. There's literally one called Autumn Blaze or whatever. Um and I can't make her too close looking to Autumn Blaze because I wanted her to have an orange, like orange mane and orange hair. But I can't make her look too same to Autumn. So I mostly, had some fun with her and I made her gray because gray is my favorite color. And I named her Maple Melody because one, maple is autumn related and I live in Canada. So I kind of slapped that in there, and I decided to make her a musician, or like I don't know how the exact word for it, but like a harpist or whatever. She plays the harp.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's harpist. Yeah, I
It's
think
like a
so. I'm
harpist or
pretty sure it's harpist. Yes, it is harpist. You are correct.
woohoo,
Yes.
woohoo,
Yeah,
yay.
yeah. Harp. It's just thinking like, is it right? Yeah, you are correct. I did look that up. Okay.
But yeah, she plays the harp. I don't really know why I chose the harp. I think the harp is just kind of a nice instrument. Um, though I'm a really big electronic music kind of guy, so I don't know why I kind of chose the harp. I
You
think it
didn't
was
go
just
with something like a keyboard or a synthesizer then? That's a bit of a yeah.
yeah,
Okay, a bit of a strange tangent to go with. But yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, it is a nice instrument. Yeah.
But I was just like, there's also like there's DJ Pone, which uses like the disco symphonizer or whatever. So he's kind of
Yeah,
electronic.
the turntables, the record players. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then I was just like, well, I don't want to make her a pianist because like everyone that like it's a like that seems kind of boring in a way because there's lots of piano players and guitar players out there, and I'm not saying the guitar or the piano is
Oh no, I understand that.
no
Yeah,
no no
I
no no
gotcha.
yeah
Yeah.
no, but just I wanted something a little unique in a way, and I was just like um there was this big harp in my old school's music department or whatever, so it was just big, and you would always see it. Like nobody ever played it, but it was just this. You would always see it every time you walk in, and I was just like, you know what? I'll make her a harpist or whatever, and I think that was like really nice. So yeah, just a harpist, and then what she kind of does is that she's kind of like the traveling bard or whatever you want to say, the traveling musicians, where she just kind of goes
Yeah,
around the
yeah, totally.
world
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
and just spreads music, learns more about music, and meets people, and kind of almost a little bit of a self-reflection of myself, where I really want to travel the world and just meet everyone out there, and like just I want to go everywhere. I want to see places. I want to meet wonderful people out there, and it's just yeah, I'm really kind of a little bit of myself in her, I guess, but also just for fun and just it was fun. It was fun making her and just fun, big fun.
And you got and you commissioned I'm Octopi to like actually model her. Is that correct?
I can't remember. I think it was a recommendation, but I couldn't remember um who it was, or if it was, or if I just stumbled across him. But essentially, what happened was I contacted a few modelers out there, and either they were like super busy or super, they just said no for some reason, or they were just super pricey, or they were super busy, and I would have had to wait like 3 months or 5 months to actually, you know, when they start working on my OC, and that's totally fine. Everybody's busy, and modeling is definitely I can definitely tell is way bigger than actually art, or the pics on SFM. There, it's definitely yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just I don't know how I came across them, but I came across them, and just right away they were super kind, and really
really super kind. They were just, kind of funny too. And they were just great. And then I explained the situation. They almost sympathized in a way. Um, and then I asked to get a model repaired because I can't remember who it was, but it was like an old SFM model that just like half of the bones were missing or something. I can't quite remember who it was. But just again, I was just like, oh yeah, I have this character or OC, I can't even remember what it was, to be made or repaired, quote unquote, and then I also have an OC to do it. And he's just like, oh, what's your OC? And then I had like a few reference pictures to use, and then I kind of explained it to him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll do it like right now. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll just do it right now. Well, okay, sure, why not? And then just and it's just like I'm like, "Well, how much? And then it's just like normally I'll do this and I'll charge for that, but I'm just gonna make it this. And I'm like, done, damn good deal. Like,
shake your hand like
like,
right
yeah,
on, bro,
yeah,
snap
yes,
your arm
sir.
off.
Like the straight up like snap right away. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's like it's only literally purely by chance like like when I offered to convert your OC into Blender, but I'll get to that in a moment. But it was literally on the file. It said like by I am Octopus. Like, no wait, that can't be the same person. But yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was the. I only come across them very recently when I was happened to be like looking for someone to convert my version 3 of my collar asset I made several months ago, because I don't know how to convert to SFM, and like it's a bit of a convoluted and lengthy process depending on how jank the model is, and my model's fairly jank. It had quite a few issues. Like it had too many vertices, and it was it had too many textures, and like, and again, looking back on it, like I totally understand like where he was coming from, but like the I Am Octopi was doing, it was really kind and supportive, and like
Oh yeah.
explaining, like, because I'm completely new to all this SFM conversion business, so he was explaining to me like the ins and outs of it, and like what needed to happen, and what recommendations what changes would I need to do to make it work, and things like that. Like it's just like above and beyond what you normally would expect a modeler to help you with, but like it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like all the extra stuff, like I gave them I explained them as best I could what I was looking for, and could you do this for me, and like a lot of people had issues with it before, could you have a look at the model and explain what needs changing or what's wrong with it and whatever, and before you can convert it and all that stuff. And like he was going through all the processes and like explain, oh wait, this has got too many vertices, oh wait, there's too many textures and all that stuff. And like it was just really cool. Before he even gave me a price, he was basically doing all the analytical stuff beforehand, where I was more than happy for him to charge me for doing all that, but he never did. He did all the analysing stuff for free, and like he only at the end of it, so okay, if you want this converting, he gave me a price, and like it was just amazing. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just like I was just amazed with how the amount of like support he gave me before he even played with the idea of actually like charging me anything for it.
Exactly.
He didn't even, with no commitment at all. I could have said like, no, I'm going to leave it. He would have been fine with that. But like he explained, this is what needs to happen. This is what I recommend to do. I can optimize it for you. I'll explain the ins and outs of it, like what needs to happen, and like blah blah, and what the issues, and he said I can make this work, and stuff like, which is amazing. I did my best to make the model more efficient, because my model was jank. Oh god, but like I made it like about over a year ago, and like I was making it over months and months and months, and like it was one of those where like I moved on to other stuff, and like I've made better stuff since then. I like looking back at the model now, I thought, oh shit, you're totally right. There's issues with this, but I still wanted it to convert it to SFM, because like I worked a lot. I spent a lot of time on it, and I think a lot of people when I showed it on Twitter and stuff, like people are saying, "Oh, cool! Can I use that in SFM?" And like, "Oh, I don't have an SFM build, and like I don't know how to do that." So I had to try and find somebody, and like I Am Octopi, like it has come up trumps and like basically based go to person of the year. But
Yeah, yeah.
I totally recommend them if you ever need them for modelling support and stuff. Like they absolutely amazing. I can't thank them for enough. And they're currently working on my model as we speak. I don't know when it's going to be released yet, but I'm just going to let them sort it out and like let me know when it's finished, and I can actually release it to the public and people can use it for free. So that was the main goal of it, and maybe I'll think about, once that's done, the new collar assets and the cuff models I've made since then, which is even better. But again, that's down that's down the line. I'm not even looking at that yet. So, but anyway, I'm rambling on again. I never really got round to when it comes to OCs. I did try to make my own C, but it never materialised. I just didn't like any of the ideas I had, and didn't know how to, like many other things, didn't know how to approach the problem or create the character. But so, how did you create your character, your OC? Was it like based on an idea you had a long time, or was it just mainly you liked the Kirin character type and then you played it from there?
Honestly, kind of just that, where I just kind of used a whole bunch of like aspirations or like just parts or inspirations in a way, just from kind of just everything, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's like I liked the Kieran, so I'm like, and I also saw, Kieran OCs are also kind of rare, so I'm like, okay, Kieran OC, um, you know, bam, and then it's just like, okay, um, I like, my favorite color is gray, so I made her gray, and then it's like, okay, what works well with gray, or what's also another color I like, and I liked orange, and I wanted to make her kind of autumn themed, right? Just goes back to the lore I was saying earlier, but just autumn themed, and it's like I can't rip Autumn Blaze, but just okay, orange mane. Now she's gray. Now it's kind of the gist of it. Let's name her. Okay, Maple, because that's autumn related, and I live in Canada. And then yeah, and then Melody, because I decided to make her a musician, and I don't know why I chose to make her a musician. I think that was just kind of fun or whatever. But just yeah, it just kind of went, it just built off one another, and I just use aspirations of like where I live and come from, and what's my favorite color and my favorite season, and what's my favorite this and that, and I just kind of all push it all together to make this little OC Kieran.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely lots of inspirational stuff. So I think that really helps. Yeah.
And have you used your OC in many artworks, or just like a few of your recent ones?
Not a whole lot. She is a little recent on. I can't remember when I made her, but she's not super duper old. I think I made her back in January, I think.
Oh, so quite recently then, yeah.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's not super old. But yeah, so I've been kind of working with her in a few picks, but I also, I gotta spice it up a little bit, and not. It's not everything. Not everything's about the OC, right? So
Yeah, gotcha.
but yes, certainly. Honestly, just OCs in general. I don't I like OCs. I think it's like I think it's fun where there are some very horrible ones out there, but it's also fun. Just like what did you create? What did you create? And it's like, yeah, I made this, and it's like it's just you listen to their lore or the story behind them, and it's so. I think it's really nice to hear, just kind of like what you did with them, or how you made them or whatever. And then, I also like almost like collecting them, like infinity stones in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what it's just it's almost like almost like a weird collector's like thing where it's like I'm probably never going to like touch them, but it's one of those things where you just put it on the shelf, you look at it, and then you're probably never gonna touch it ever again. But you still look at it on the shelf, right? It's just
Yeah.
that's kind of
It's
how.
there if you want that character to be, if you want to use that character in some capacity. It's that she's there to use.
Yeah, and of course I'll follow any rules. If someone does want to lend their OC, I'll follow their rules. And like half the time, like I mean, I have OCs that I collected from like the very start, and I've never used them, and I probably never will, or whatever. But just yeah, just one, it's there, but also two, I think I just like collecting them. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's yeah. So I would not inspire, not I don't know, encourage or whatever to say, kind of maybe make one if you really really want. I think maybe make at least maybe one, like kind of like what I did. I might make a second one, probably never will. I don't know I don't know how that's gonna work or what's gonna happen there. But just, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to have kind of like yourself, but also like have a self. It's almost like a representative
Or a representation of yourself, right? Yeah.
of yourself in the community, where it's like not like a self insert, but it's just kind of just I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say like a fursona, but just
Yeah, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Yeah.
it's like you, but like you when you're in your pony mood. I don't know, like I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, God, yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. It's that's one way to look at it. Certainly, I with OCs again. I did try to make my own OC, but I couldn't think of it. Just didn't. I didn't like any of the ideas I was trying to come up with. But I guess like I didn't after a certain point I didn't really need an OC because I guess like the version of Fluttershy is kind of my version of that character anyway. The British Shy version, it's the corrupted version of Fluttershy. And a lot of other people got their own probably versions of Fluttershy, and they've got their own version of Celestia and all the rest of the characters. But like that was sort of the British Shy is sort of my sort of spin on it. Well, kind of, but like the inherited spin off in my case, I guess, because like the British Shy that like I'm quite fond of is the one that my friend Tennant come up with. Sort of like the British version where like she's missing teeth and she's wearing a tracksuit and like she's fucking the British stereotypes going oi oi mate and all the rest of it. That is that with wearing a flat cap and the rest of it, like British stereotypes.
I could just
just
imagine
cracks me up. It's just like it's the version I'm really fond of, and like the little the meme that he came up with the tin of beans. It's just it just makes me laugh so much. It's
I remember, it
unbelievable.
reminds me of the meme where it's like in Very Odd Parents. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's like
Yes. I used to watch that a long time. Yeah, when I was a kid. Yeah.
the crimson chin, but it's like changes to like the British chin. Oh,
Oh my god.
the British chin. Oh
The-
my god, it makes
there's different versions of it. Oh, but yeah, that's another bloody show that went off on its own tangent. But yeah, I remember that. Like, oi, I've got a £5 note. I remember, and then like he gets it start taken from him, or
it also reminds me.
you're aware of the British like memes and stereotypes
yes,
and like
yes,
missing teeth and wearing the bowler hat and the rest of it.
yeah.
It's that's the version of Fluttershy that like I'm really fond of, but I shouldn't encourage it. But like it just makes me laugh. So
But also
that's British Shy, like the corrupted version. That's my Fluttershy.
but also like The Simpsons, where I think it was, I don't know if it was Bart or Lisa was that like the dentist, and like it's probably Bart because I don't think Bart was like brushing his teeth, and then like the dentist like whips out this giant like book, and it's just like the big British, it's like the big book of British smiles, and then sure enough, it's like
Oh, it's all the smiles have got teeth missing.
they're all teeth missing and all like all and like oh, oh my goodness.
It's always with the teeth, isn't it? But yeah,
Yeah.
like that's there's a sad truth to that because
Yeah.
our dental system in this country is just broken.
Yeah.
Like you can't get like, well, of course in Canada you've got, same with Canada and UK, they've got the the National Health Service, which is, but like it's getting access to dental care is just like really difficult in this country. Like for whatever reason, I think like a lot of part of the problem was a lot of dentists have gone like private now, so like they don't work for the NHS anymore, and like now there's a big shortage of the dentists who can do it properly on the NHS, and because they can get more money privately they don't take NHS patients, a lot of them anymore, and that's a lot of the problem. And people just don't have the money to get these problems checked out, and which is unfortunate, and that's been going on for several decades now. But
Yeah.
that's where that comes from. It's unfortunately it's a bit does it close to home, but that's where it comes from for a bit of context there. But yeah, a lot of people got really bad teeth over here because of that. But yeah, it's true, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going off on a separate tangent there. Where's my teeth gone?
Yeah.
And like we British generally, people as a whole, lot of like really like sweet drinks and chocolates, and we are all sweet tooths over here. We like to eat sugary stuff, and like we're quite fond of it's a popular drink over here called Ribena. I don't know whether you've heard of it. It's like a popular blackcurrant drink, and like blackcurrants are really, really like full of sugar, and like they rot your teeth because we tend to drink it neat.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Instead of like, we're supposed to dilute it, like add water to it or whatever. But yeah, it's that's part of the British culture thing, like missing teeth and stuff like that. Oh, oi, mate, I've lost all my teeth. Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, oi, mate. Oh well, that's the end of me. Oh. That's where it all comes from. But like it just that those stereotypes, like there's an element of truth in them, I suppose. If I want to delve into that, that's a separate topic in of itself, really. But yeah, OC is interesting. But like people with OCs, like some people like to use them in like in artwork. Other people like to use them as like, I guess, as you're saying, like a representation of themselves. And yeah, and when using other people's like OCs, like always abide by like how the artist's OC wishes them to be treated. Don't use them in like scenarios where like they're not comfortable with, or like specific scenarios that they don't like. Don't do that. That's happened before.
Yeah.
You probably come across like situations like that probably, where like the people have fallen out over like people using like people's OCs without permission and using them in like art, like kind of pieces of artwork where they're not comfortable with, which is fine. Again, it's just courtesy, isn't it? Really, asking permission and making sure that they're okay with the scenario that you want to use their OC in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like most people tend to abide by those like rules, like just like be civil, and like make sure you've got permission to use them in a specific way, really, instead of like without asking them. But yeah, that has happened before. I think
there's like you can like buy OCs. I know like absolutely nothing about that market.
Yeah, again, that's another strange thing to me. Like you like purchasing like a pre-match. Some people do. Yeah. Does strike me as a little bit odd, like being able to like purchase an OC outright and stuff like. And it can be a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a grey area, I suppose. Like, maybe do you really own the full rights to the character and stuff like that? And some people I have heard scenarios where maybe some people, like maybe the original artist was maybe selling a character or something, and then they changed their mind. But like the person who bought the character won't relinquish the rights back. There's all sorts of weird issues like that, I suppose. So I guess that's partly why maybe, again, I never really made my own OC or bought my own OC, because like I didn't really want to get involved with any kind of that stuff. But yeah, maybe if I take another crack at it, maybe I could think of my own character. But again, I wouldn't. It's one of those where like I don't really need an OC personally, but I can understand why a lot of other people do like to have like a pony version of themselves, or a Kirin version, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
To represent themselves. I can totally understand that. There's like a sort of, what do you call it, like a middle character, I suppose, like to represent you when you're on the internet, I suppose. But yeah, that's another another topic in of itself, isn't it? It can go on for hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah.
But yes, I think that is pretty much everything that's all I've got on my Word document. I think of questions and things like that, unless there's anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrap this up. But yeah, I'm happy to talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I don't want to keep you for longer than necessary, I guess.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I'm here. I'm pretty free for the evening, but yeah, I know what's going on.
But anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Korizen. Thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule and making art to come on the show. It's been an absolute blast talking to you. And thank you, everyone who's been listening to the show all this time. I don't know who's going to be on the show next time. I'll have to try and sort out the schedules. I'm a bit behind at the moment, trying to get everything restarted up again. But I'm so glad to get the show up and running again, and thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Korizen, once again for coming on the show. It's been brilliant. You've been an absolute delight talking to, so thank you so much for talking to me and for discussing your artwork and your experiences. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I'll see you next time, guys.
It's Korizen. Korizen.
Wait, what?